Hey guys, what's up? It's Brownmut of Goodmut here. I'm recording this podcast Sunday a week early, um, in order to have it all done. It's gonna be a little bit more chill than normal because I'm really tired and I've actually just been recording a bunch of stuff, so my throat actually hurts a bit because I'm still sick. But I want to record this so that I can make sure that the podcast Sunday video is up because I want to keep up with these things. So I'm sorry if it does seem like I'm upset or something. I'm not. I'm just tired and sick and shit. Everything's shit. But it's not. Everything's actually good. Anyway, in other news, do you ever feel like people don't want you to be happy? I promise everything's okay. No, but I'm actually not saying this because someone's done something to me directly. But there is something I've noticed. Typically, a lot of these things I notice are through Facebook because I have this insatiable need to check the comments of like every stupid 65-year-old meme ever. And when I say 65-year-old meme, I mean it mainly. I can't think of the word. Fuck my life. It mainly reaches out to like 65-year-old moms who hate children, even though they have like 6. And these memes don't particularly reach out to them, but they reach out to them in the way that they will go into the comment section and complain. I can't remember what video it was. It wasn't a video. It was some stupid fucking ghetto meme. But in the comment section, there were a lot of older people going on about how millennials don't try anymore. They don't get jobs and have houses and have university, and they're content with the bare minimum. And these things, they kind of irritate me in a way, because what these people tend to imply is that you're not being a productive member of society if you don't work a good job. Good job means a thing that you had to pay like $20 million for a degree for. Even though they usually only work at like Kohl's or Kmart or 7-Eleven or don't work at all. They mean that you have to have kids, even though not everybody wants kids, and a lot of people who have kids back from their day are miserable because they had kids. It means you should be paying rent, paying for food and stuff like that. Mind you, it's shit, okay? Paying for rent and food is shit. I only have to pay a little, like, for my share where I live right now, because I still live with my parents. Because I haven't got a job just yet. Not because I don't want to, I'm just waiting a little bit for personal reasons. Hoping to have one by next year so I can move out on my own. But occasionally, I do pay to my mom for just things. Like if she needs money, because it's like, well, I'm living here for free. I'm an adult living here for free. So if my mom needs money and I happen to have money, I have no problem giving it to her, because usually she's giving it back anyway. It's just that she needs to borrow it until she gets paid. And the only reason I have that money in the first place anyway is because of her, so it's like, But anyway, the implication is pretty much you have to be living this certain lifestyle to be someone who is happy and successful. Outside of what these people say, there's also other things too, like owning expensive cars, having a nice house. What else? Owning nice TVs. Like, the thing is, though, is something I notice is all these expectations make no sense when they come together. Okay, this is just what I've noticed off Good Buscus, who works. Me and him live together. Good Buscus, who works, and me, who doesn't work, but I typically try to do things like go to the gym, take my dog for a walk, and do chores around the house because responsibilities and shit. So, what I've noticed is it is so fucking difficult to have all the shit that people say you should have. And half the time you're not happy. Like, good buskis works something like 20-something hours a week to earn enough money to do things like buy games and go out and shit. But the issue with that is, like, when you go out, you realize how little a lot of money is. Like, say $600 sounds like a lot, but then you go out, like, I don't know, to a club or something cool like laser tag or paintball, and you fucking look at your money and you're like, wow, by the end of this, I'm gonna have such little amounts of cash. I don't want to spend this. And you also gotta think about things too, like your car, house, if you rent, all this shit. I'm kind of blurring lines together. I had this more thought out in my head last night, but it's not last night anymore. But what I'm basically trying to say is people's expectations for what you should do to be a productive member of society are fucking stupid. Look, okay. Typically speaking, I don't know if that's the right word, fuck it. I don't think being a productive member of society is all that important. I know that sounds self-entitled and selfish, but, like, I didn't get born so that I could be a productive member of society. I got born because my mom and dad frick-fracked one night without a condom, and then I popped out 9 months later. Like, I wasn't brought onto this earth to be productive. No one was, you know? It's up to the individual to decide if that's what they want to do with themselves. And the thing is, you get shamed for not being other people's ideals of productive. And if you aim for lower than what people ideally think you should be doing in your life, then you're instantly a lazy piece of shit. And it's so weird to me too, because these people, right? These people who, because it tends to be old people, okay? Fucking fuck old people. I really hope that when I'm old, I'm not a piece of shit, but I probably will be. But I hope I'm not. Anyway, these people, right? They'll say things like, when I was young, I had to work hard every day for the rest of my life and do chores 24/7, and I didn't complain. And it's like, I read that and I'm like, well, why the fuck didn't you? Why are you proud of the fact you were so miserable? Like, okay, doing chores 24/7, working, and pretty much only going out like once a week to have fun. People say that and they brag about it. Like, man, I worked so hard. For what? What, to be miserable? So you could write a Facebook post about it so everyone knows how much you sacrificed to be productive? Fuck that. That's retarded. Look, I'm not saying sit on your ass and be a lazy piece of shit for the rest of your life. But just people's ideals of what makes you a good person who's worth society's fucking, I don't even know. What's good about being a productive member of society? Nothing, you're miserable. Every person who says they are a productive member of society seems fucking miserable to me. I've not met someone who's like, I work hard, I'm productive, and is happy. Because if they were, they probably wouldn't be bragging about it on a Facebook post because they just worked a 25-hour shift that they only earn like $2 an hour on, and now they're just tired and the only like joy in life they have is going through Facebook posts. But I digress. My point is, it's like they want you to be unhappy. You are only a good member of society if you are unhappy and miserable and working all the time. And that's stupid, okay? That is really stupid. Again, I'm not saying sit on your ass all day and be lazy and never amount to anything, you know? I mean, if that's what makes you happy, sure, I can't imagine it would be very fulfilling, but fuck who am I to tell you otherwise? But what I typically mean is it should be more about what makes you happy and what you can do to get that happiness. Like, okay, a good example is me and my mother were talking about what I would do for a career. And she was thinking of things like me going to be a therapist, me studying for a few years. But when I was thinking about it, I would have fucking hated that. Not that it wouldn't be cool to have been a therapist or a counselor, I think I would have liked that. what it more was what having, because if I studied in my current condition, I wouldn't be able to work as well. I know that sounds stupid, but it wouldn't go well. It would just override me and turn me into a mess. So that means I'd have to study, not work, and my only source of money would be her. And I didn't want that. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I didn't really want a flash career. I would have I'm perfectly fine with a career that pays enough that I can pay the rent and the bills and my car rego and all that good stuff, and maybe have a bit of money to spend or save on the side. That would be enough for me. That is something I would be fine with. Because my idea is I'd have enough that I could spend or save so that I could, go out with friends. Or if I wanted to save it, I could save it for my tattoo, which I want to be doing. Or piercings, or all the other things I love. But other people want these flash careers that they fucking hate, It's like you see teachers, okay? Teachers in school, and they're miserable. They fucking hate children. Like, they hate children, and yet they work with children. And it's obvious they hate children. And every single moment they spend at school, they're miserable. You can tell they hate it. But they did it because being a teacher sounds impressive. And it's like, and then they're miserable. And it's like, for what reason? What, so you could have a career that was better than someone else who, I don't know, works at a garage or something? I mean, I made fun of people working at garages, but that was more so because, in reference to people who talk about saying you should have a flash career when their career isn't all that flashy. Typically, I don't really care if you work at a garage or not. My mom does. But she's also 50, so. I lost my point. Oh, yeah. Most people say you should have, these flash careers, but I don't. To me, personally, I don't want one of those. I just want something that is financially stable. And careers that require 6 million degrees aren't even often that financially stable. My dad is a truck driver who works a shit ton of hours a week, and he works a shit ton of hours a week. But he didn't need a degree, and he earns more than most other people I know. And he supported me and my brother, just as a truck driver, and my mom, for 18 plus years. I can't remember how long my mom and dad were together before I was born. But, he didn't require a degree. And people would call that lazy, just because he didn't go to fucking university and get a degree for some other job. And why? Right now we're not that well off, because of debt and stuff that happened because of reasons I don't want to go into. But if it wasn't for that, right now we have, when I say we, I really mean my parents. They have a boat, they have a nice car, they both have nice cars. They're not insanely expensive, but they're not shitboxes either, They go on vacation twice a year. They go out, to drink and to the club, a few times a week, depending on the money situation. They mostly seem happy, and they didn't go out of their way to do anything flashy with their lives. They just did the bare minimum, and that was just enough for them. I mean, I'm sure maybe my mom would be happy if she owned a car that was fucking $30,000 or something like that, but she's just as happy with a car that costs $10,000, which seems like a lot to me, but as far as I can tell, $10,000 isn't too much for a person who is a grown adult. I could be wrong, though. And I mean, another thing too is these people who impose these ideas of what a good person is, they don't take into account what people actually want out of life. Okay, I've said what I want out of life, and people think that it's stupid, okay? For example, I'd love to tattoo myself basically from toe to head. Basically, not exactly, but basically. That is what I would like to do. And I would like to continue getting pierced until I am happy. I don't exactly know every piercing I want just yet, but I'm getting there. I only have 4 right now because I had to take them out for work. And that's another thing. I'd like a job that will be okay with me having piercings and tattoos, which is why I'm also going for, probably going to be working in a warehouse or something like that, because typically they don't really give a shit. My dad is tattooed really heavily and also pierced really heavily, and they don't fucking give a shit about him, so it's not impossible. And probably the most expensive thing I'd want out of life would be I'd like to own a house. Not rent, own it. Those are like some of the things that I personally would like to continue doing in my life to make me happy. And owning more dogs. I have a dog. I want 2. I love dogs. But and I would say that to someone and they'd be like, well, why don't you shoot higher, Why don't you want like a $40,000 car? And it's not that there's anything wrong, because there are people out there who do want $40,000 cars, and if you do want that, go for it. But I don't get why something like that is the staple of success, Like, my car is maybe worth $8,000, maybe $5,000 because the back bumpers got a little bit fucked up at a point. But like, I'm happy with that. Has working air conditioner, drives me. No part of it is like falling off. Bumper's a bit fucked up, but like fucking it's barely anything. I mean, the stereo doesn't work. That'd probably be my only complaint. But it's a good car. It gets me from point A to point B smoothly without any issues. Nothing is broken. It's all good. It's a good car. It's a fucking really good car. And it'll last me the next 2 years probably. And I'm fine with that, And when I get my own car, well, that is my car. That is my own car. But when I buy my car, the car I have right now was a hand-me-down because it was going to be sold otherwise. But when I buy my own car, as long as it's pretty much in the same condition as my current one, except with a working stereo would be nice, I'll be fine with that too. I don't know, people just have this idea of success in their mind, and I don't know where it comes from, because just looking successful doesn't mean you're successful. Like, I'm sure there are people out there with fucking tons of money, or who work a lot and get a lot of money, but they're miserable. I'll use teachers again, because they're what I think about when I think of someone who's miserable at their job, okay? Like, teachers who work with children, but they fucking hate children. And they're miserable. They're clearly miserable. They come to school every day and they're in a pissed off mood. They don't want to deal with kids. They don't want to take 2 seconds to get eye to eye with kids and talk about, anything like schoolwork and stuff, or see if they're okay. All they want to do is push you around. And it's just really obvious they're unhappy. And they did that to themselves because they thought that being a teacher would be impressive. But it's not. It's not impressive because it's really obvious you're unhappy, and no one wants to fucking be unhappy. My point is, these people who have this idea of what success is and what success isn't tend to be fucking miserable, Like, I mean, sure, they, maybe not miserable, but they're not happy either. Like, they've had, 6 kids because they thought they had to, because they grew up in a time where women having children was the only thing they could do. They work at a 7-Eleven, which is fine, but they don't actually want to, they just have to. They have no other choice. They married someone because, the first chance they got, not because they actually liked the person, but because that's also just a thing that women did back then. Or it might be a man who literally does nothing with his life except sit around, drink beer, and watch TV. And again, that might make some people happy, but then he's sitting there saying that millennials are lazy because they don't go to college or something dumb like that. Or anyone who doesn't own a house is a lazy piece of shit. And it's ridiculous. As far as we stand right now, there is no legitimate reason that we know of as to why we exist on this earth. We don't know if it's to be productive and move to some hive mind or something. I don't know. We don't know if it's to serve some weird religious purpose, which I'm hoping it's not, because that would suck dick. I don't believe it is, but it would really suck if it was. Or we don't know if, like, it's just some big old game of Sims that we're basically being played by, which would be kind of ironic. But we don't know. We don't know. So me personally, I think, and I mean this is my personal opinion, you're free to think what you want, but me personally, I think we should be spending the time that we're alive being as happy as we can. Like, each individual person should try to be as happy as they can, without imposing themselves on other people. I say that because if you have murderous intent or something like that, please don't go murder someone just because that would make you happy. Because that's shitty. What you want to do and your rights end where another person begins, okay? Please don't murder. I don't want to be charged. But you get what I mean. We should try to be as happy as we can. There are going to be times where we have to work when we don't want to because we have to do it to get to that point where we will be happy. And I understand that. And I understand that not every time you can go for the option that'll make you happy. Sometimes you might want to be selfless, and sometimes being selfless might be hanging out with a friend even though you don't particularly want to, but they want to and they haven't seen you in a long time, so you'll suck it up and hang out with them. You know, it might not make you the happiest, but you want them to be happy because they're your friends, and in turn that makes you feel happy, because even though you may not particularly want to hang out, you're making them happy, and they're your friend. That makes you happy. I just repeated myself. Or maybe you do want to have a successful career as, like, a lawyer or a doctor, but on top of your degrees, you might also need some work experience. And sometimes the best experience you can get is working at McDonald's or KFC or something like that. So even though you might not want to do that, you might just have to buckle down and do it anyway. So, I guess basically what I'm saying is, don't try to make yourself miserable. You'll always have to do things you don't want to do at some point in your life. But I feel like the best we can do is reduce that and increase the amount of moments we spend being happy with what we do, and who we are, and who we hang out with, and everything else. I guess that's my point. And I know this video is a bit more serious, I guess, than most of my other podcast Sundays. You know, the other ones are like angry rants or reviews or me messing around. I don't know what one I'm up to right now, because I've recorded a few others as well. But I know this is just a bit serious, but I guess it's just been something that's been bothering me lately. Because the more the days go on, the more I just see people being miserable, and they've kind of imposed it on themselves. Like, they're not doing it particularly because they need to, or because they want to, but just some sort of weird idea in their head that they have to. And I don't understand why people want to do that, and I'm hoping someone out there who's been shoved with this idea that they have to behave and do stuff a certain way to be a certain way will hear this and think, man, I don't have to do this shit that's been making me miserable for the past 10 years, and it isn't actually helping me accomplish anything. I could do something else that helps me actually be happy. And again, I want to stress, I'm not specifically saying that, like, you won't ever have to do things you don't want in life. Because if we worked in a way where you get to do everything you want, it wouldn't work out, because no one would want to work, therefore nothing would be produced. You know, people would aspire for the bare minimum. Well, not the bare minimum, but people would aspire to do their job as lazy as possible. We'd end up with things like surgeons who don't know how to actually perform surgical things. You know, we can't avoid doing things we don't want to do, but I feel like the things we don't want to do should add to the things we want to do. Like, you might work your 9 to 5 McDonald's job, but it's so that you can move up to the 9 to 5 retail job that you wanted. And then that 9 to 5 retail job can lead into the accounting job that you wanted, because you got that work experience. And even though you fucking hated McDonald's and you liked retail a little bit more, but not as much, now you fucking love your accounting job, and you wouldn't have got there if not for those two things. So I just think that the things we do that don't make us happy should go toward the things that we do want. You know, like, it's why we do things like work in the first place, you know? Like, we work to earn money so we can get the things that we want. Work sucks, but we achieve things like video games and theme park tickets or movie tickets or a nice big old bottle of vodka to drown your sorrows away. So, I guess overall my point is, old, angry, angsty people on Facebook suck, as if that was news, and people need to work more toward making themselves happy and care a little bit less about what people think about their self-worth. Because the thing about self-worth is it's self-worth, you know. Only you can decide if you are worth living, I guess. And if you don't, it's worth living is the wrong word choice, because it makes it sound like I'm saying, you know, if you don't believe you're worth living, just fucking off yourself. And I'm not saying that. But what I mean is, only you can decide if, like, what you're doing makes you happy, and if all that good stuff that I've been spouting for the past 30 minutes. So, take 2 seconds and think about if what you're doing is based on what you want to do to achieve what would overall make you happy, or if what you're doing is more based around what other people would like you to do in order to be happy. I think that's everything. I don't know if this video made a ton of sense. As I said, this mainly came about when I was, like, falling asleep last night, and then I stayed up for like an hour because I was thinking about all the points in my head. And then today came along and I forgot everything. But I'm hoping this makes sense. I'm hoping maybe someone out there hears it and, you know, takes it in and kind of understands where I'm coming from, even if it doesn't sound like I understand where I'm coming from. I do hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. I'm sorry if I'm a bit quiet. As I said, my throat really fucking hurts. I'm really tired. I'm probably gonna take a nap after this. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. Check the description down below for links to our Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!